This show is brought to you by our friends at bayphoto.com. Head over after the show to print something amazing. Be sure to check out their specials at bayphoto.com/specials.
So we're continuing on with my discussion with the high school class in Connecticut on creativity from my book, Create. Please join us now. Keeping a notebook, very important. You guys, I see you taking notes here. From Jack London, a great author, keep a notebook, travel with it, eat with it, sleep with it. He's not even kidding. I mean, I don't know if he put a notebook under his pillow, but I keep one nearby sometimes. Slap into it every stray thought that flutters into your brain. I'll tell you a story. Again, I'm sorry these were from long ago, but the Rolling Stones, Keith Richards, dreamt the song Satisfaction, which has been named the greatest rock song of all times. I can't get no satisfaction. He had a dream about it, and he woke up. He had a tape recorder by his bed. He picked up his guitar and played the riff to it, which goes dun 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 dun, dun. And he recorded it into his tape recorder and then went to sleep. Forgot about the whole thing. He woke up the next day and he played this and he went, "What was that? Did I really do that?" And that's actually how you can do things. You can come up with creative ideas even in your sleep. How about that? Okay, so summarizing some of these points. What does visualization mean to you? If there's any courageous person that wants to raise their hand and answer that question, otherwise you can write that in your notebook. And give me an example in your own life. Does anybody want to raise their hand and answer that question? What does it mean to you? And maybe give us an example. You don't have to. Do I see any hands? If I'm missing one, let me know. Write it down in your notebook. What does visualization mean to you? Because it's really important that you have this idea for yourself. Not something that Mark told you or somebody else, but how are you going to use this power of visualization? One thing I want to mention, sometimes the idea comes up that, well, if I had to go around and visualize stuff, it would be a really, really slow process. It's going to slow me down. Visualization can occur in a split second, in an instant. You actually look and you see a photograph, for instance, and you go, wow, if I stood over there 10 feet over to the left and moved forward 50 feet, bam, there's my photograph. If I take it from this angle, it's not very interesting. So you can visualize very, very quickly and it shouldn't be a long process. You can also visualize over a period of time. Sometimes writing a book, for instance, you might get a bunch of ideas and you think about it and eventually you put it together in the book. And that's what I did with this book, with Create, is I had already visualized what was in it. And I decided, well, I'm not only going to write my own ideas, but I'm going to interview 12 really, really creative people. How many of you have seen The Simpsons ever? A lot, I'm sure. One of the people I interviewed is Nancy Cartwright. She's the voice of Bart Simpson. She is Bart Simpson and actually 9 other characters in The Simpsons. She plays numerous characters from lots of different shows. And I interviewed her as far as how she became the artist that she is. She's a voice actor. And how she also had to overcome a lot of emotional barriers and different barriers. I wanted people to understand that being an artist doesn't mean you wake up one morning and you're magically this artist. There's work to be done. You have to overcome things just like anything else, like becoming a great athlete. You have to work at it. Okay. I'm going to go for about maybe 5 or 10 more minutes and then open it up for questions. The next stage is really knowing your tools and whatever those tools are, your camera, your video, your drawing tools, your writing tools. And then you got to get out there and work your craft. And that means using your power of visualization, using your tools, but go to work. Jack London was a great author. He wrote a lot of very memorable books. Call of the Wild is a great book. But he did something every morning before he went off. He was a wonderful adventurer. He loved to go out on adventures, and he did a lot of traveling. But he set himself a target, a goal. Every morning he would write 1,500 words before he went off to do something else. So typewritten pages, that's about 5 pages of typewritten pages. I try to do that when I write. Sometimes I hit 1,000, but when you write, you're going to write a book, you got to get up every morning and work on it, or whenever you're going to write. It does not write itself. And every day you skip writing is a day you haven't made any progress. Very important to have that kind of discipline built into your life. Carve out time for you to do your creative activity. And really, just like, any discipline, exercise, whatever, we have to build these things into our life or else they don't happen. So whatever fits your schedule, I didn't do enough of this when I was your age. I should have had a camera with me all the time. And I'm amazed at the photographs that I missed. Why didn't I take pictures of my friends more? I did some of those. Why didn't I take pictures of all my girlfriends? I mean, I wish I had done that, because you're seeing art in front of you. Why didn't I take my camera to rock concerts? I could have. Why didn't I took my camera on designated trips, but I didn't carry it around as much as I should have. And I miss having those photographs. So that's something that I want you to remember. Put in your notebook to carve out your time to use your camera, whatever your art form is, your video camera, and work on it daily. It's really important. 7 days a week, no days off. All the great authors out there, that's how they got their books, how they wrote them and they got them published, is they worked at it. I'm going to skip over this one. This is an interesting conversation, but it's in the book. Remember, you got to edit. You do have to refine your work, and that's its own stage. In video editing, we, maybe shoot, like, let's say I'm going to produce an interview that's 15 minutes long. I might shoot an hour of it. And then I throw out the pieces that just don't fit. Sometimes the person goes off topic, or it's just not that important. And I may fall in love with it, but it's not going to fit. So I don't use it. I might use it for something else later on. But it's really important to remember this stage of editing is where you're going to refine your work. I don't put any photographs on social media unless I've processed them. And sometimes that means I'll just process them in my phone, but I always tweak them. I always change something about them. Maybe I'll crop them a little bit. I get lazy and I'll use the auto featuring features, in the phone, which is fine. Most of the time they do a really good job. Same thing with films, little film clips in an iPhone or whatever. I'll always process it. It's important to do that. You put out your highest quality work. If there's flaws in it, try to fix them before you put it out there. And that's really important, because the next stage is you're sharing your work with the world. You're putting your work out there. This is Annie Leibovitz. How many of you heard of Annie Leibovitz? She's a celebrity photographer. I went to art school with her, but she talked about editing a body of work. She talked about, before you put out an exhibit or something, have somebody else look at it and help you decide which photographs, for instance, you're going to hang on the wall, which ones you don't need to. That's actually really important. So getting feedback from somebody you trust is really important. And make sure it is somebody you trust, not somebody that's just going to randomly criticize your work. You do not need that. In fact, you want to stay away from that. But look for people that you trust that can give you valid feedback. Hey, I hope you guys did enjoy that. And as always, I love having you with us, and leave your comments, okay? And I love it when you share. And as always, remember to get out and capture your own images of life.